Mother Funny Time with Andie and Angie.
2 cousins, 8 kids, 1 grandkid, 2 states.
And a whole lot of fun. Woo! Welcome back, Mother Funny Tribe. It's Angie and Andy, and we're here to talk about sports again. Or more importantly, I don't know if it's more importantly, but more correctly, taking your children to their siblings' sporting events. Last episode, we focused on the negative and on just what it's like. And Angie ended the episode with a fantastic story.
I had to bring it up. With the reality.
The story was how she brought her child Brooklyn to whose practice?
It was the
Riley's?
twins.
Oh, the twins.
It was the twins basketball game. It was actually like the game on the Saturday in the morning. Like it was the actual basketball game, and it was halftime. And Brooklyn went out with there was a bunch of siblings, because like the kids all go get their water. The actual ones playing get their water, and they're talking with the coach, and the coach is talking with them. And so all the siblings go on the court to like shoot hoops during halftime. And sure enough, Brooklyn threw that ball. She was aiming, for the record, she was aiming for the basket. Like she was trying to make a basket.
She turned on the fire alarm, which shut everything down. The fire department came, and then all the games got delayed, which... Have you been to a game where you're like, hey, we're supposed to be here at 1 because our game's at 1:30, and then you get there at 1 and the games have gone long, so now you're not starting till 3, and then you leave at midnight, and by the end you're like, just lose. Like at the end you're like, you guys, we need to just lose this game because we got to go home. Like we're done here. So
and then it's overtime.
Yes.
Wants to talk at the end of the game.
Yes, and you'll stop talking, and you have children melting down. But let's talk about the positives today. So there is a positive side to making your children, forcing them to come to their siblings' games. And the first one is, hold on, I made a list so I wouldn't forget. Building patience and support.
Wow.
And this kind of, I think...
long qualities.
Yes, and I think it kind of goes with that, like the first negative that we talked about last time, which was boredom. Like it's actually good to be bored. I think it's especially at this age. I mean, in this day and age, because, kids are never bored because they have the world at their fingertips at all the times. And we manufacture their life to be entertaining. But to have some boredom and to learn patience and be able to sit. Like, remember when we were kids, we would like go on car rides. Remember when you'd have to drive to San Diego from Santa Clarita and you're just 3 hours in a car and there's no games besides like I Spy. You have to keep yourself entertained. So like taking them somewhere where they have to keep themselves entertained, I think is good.
Peyton often brings paper and pens. And she'll just sit there and draw. Like when Brooklyn has a lacrosse game, Peyton's sitting there. She does not care about lacrosse whatsoever, but she's there. And she'll just spend that whole time. And she's a whole setup. Like she knows exactly what she wants to bring. She even brings her own like blanket. She has her own area. You can't go near her area. This is not her stuff to share. Like to all the other siblings, it's kind of like, well, you guys should have come prepared. Like I came with my setup.
Learn
this is what I'm doing from the next hour.
Tips or tricks.
Yes. She has all her art supplies in her own little area. And that's great. Sometimes kids need to bring their own stuff. Like I noticed sometimes as moms, we think it's our responsibility to bring all the children's stuff that they have to have. But sometimes it's like, no, such and such child, what book do you want to read while you're at that game? What toys do you want to bring? And have them pack their own bag and make sure they can even carry it. Because that's there's so much stuff when you're carrying like all the chairs and the blankets and the waters and just the snacks like we talked about in the last episode, everything you could even be taking to like a soccer game. It's like, okay, child, you're bringing your own toys. Make sure you can carry those too. Or the wagons. The wagons are amazing now.
Yes.
Those are fantastic. The wagons are great. When Cole was little, we would even put him in the car seat in the wagon.
Oh,
And then we put the
tip or
stuff
trick?
around it. Yeah, I don't know if it's the safest.
Do you have a little helmet
But
on?
he was in the car seat, strapped into the car seat, but those wagons can hold a ton of stuff. Those things are great. They're not that difficult to, like, open up and everything. Everybody's got wagons these days.
You
But
know what
yeah,
what's
definitely making
funny?
sure everyone has all the kids have their stuff to keep them entertained.
That is the tip or trick. So, I one game, I thought I was so prepared, and I brought a cooler, a little cooler just with, like, to make cold drinks, like, because it was so hot out, so we had, like, an ice chest with drinks, a little one, and maybe, like, some snacks or something, like cheese or something, and then I find out later that all the parents who bring little coolers pack them with booze. So, I showed up and everybody
Oh,
thought I
you were
was
the
just
cool mom.
I was the boozy, but never did
Okay,
that again.
speaking of that, when we were kids, my dad played on the baseball team, softball team for the fire department, and, like, we would travel, like, with him, and he would play baseball or softball, and, like, our friends, the co's would be there and everything, and do you know what our parents had us do? This is so funny, but we loved it. It kept us entertained, and we had so much fun for hours,
What?
and we made so much money. We would bring our black trash bags with us and go through the trash and get all the beer cans.
What?
And then we would put them in the car or that huge giant van and recycle them. And we made so much money. Like, we would take them to the recycling place and we made a ton of money. I mean, we weren't exclusively looking for beer cans. It just happened that's all that was in the
That's what
trash
was
cans
there.
was beer. We made so much money off of beer. And did we have gloves on? No.
It was it was the
No.
late '80s, early '90s. Kids' safety was
And
different
we
then.
would want to go to the games and be like, "Dad has a game." "Yes!" Because we knew we'd end up getting so much cash from the games.
That is amazing, and that's a tip or trick. So if you give your kids something to do, like if they go collect beer cans, I mean, I think that's
So bad.
fantastic. I mean, maybe in a little league game, you should have less beer cans and more maybe like water bottles and stuff, but I'm not I it is what it is. Anyway, unless it's one of those boozy cooler
Well, I was
families.
gonna say, if you're walking around with a cooler.
I guess you're boozing it up. But, like, if you give your kids gloves and a bag and be like, "You can recycle." I know I have a friend whose son, to this day, like, he recycles, and everybody gives him their, like, recycling stuff. Even if we, like, had a party and we had a bunch of stuff, he would, like, take it, and it was, like, his extra little cash, but that's such a great idea, actually, for
See, giving back to the environment, being a better citizen of the world kept us
Yes,
busy. We also would
and a little
cheer.
cash.
We'd make up cheers on the sideline and had so much fun. We later found out as we were getting older that I guess our cheers were really annoying, but we
What?
didn't know that when we were younger. We thought we were really good cheerleaders. We thought we were so good. And I was like, "Oh, those were annoying." But it's fine. We had a good time. It's
Yeah.
better for kids to be entertained. That's a better type of annoying
Yes.
than,
Yes.
like, this super annoying, super bored complaining. You're like, if you're gonna
Oh,
have one or the other,
100%.
go for the fun,
I mean,
annoying
how
child.
many times have you been in public at something like that, like a game or whatever, and there's a kid just being nuts, but you're like, "But he's happy." And everybody knows it, like, collectively, everyone's like, "They're happy and they're safe right now, so we're gonna let it be." Other parents, non-parents or older people whose kids are grown up and they've forgotten, they're like, "Oh, those kids these days," but all of us parents are like, "Yeah, they're happy. It's okay." Like, crawl over the ground and scream and do cheers. Okay, so that kinda also brings me to shared family pride. When all the siblings go together, they all cheer together. It is a bonding time, like, to root on somebody else in your family and to really hope for
Yeah.
the best for them. So
And you could dress, like, in the team like, colors.
Yes.
Or even, kids like to have like Riley, well, she has her phone now, but even just other kids will be like, "Mom, can I have your phone?" And they wanna take video of their siblings or take pictures, and then after, like, everyone's in the picture together, but they wanna, like, record their siblings doing the actual activity or participating, like, if it's the basketball game or the, football game or whatever it is, like, they wanna be part of it to remember it. So, yeah, it's exciting, especially, like, when your sibling scores the goal.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Or, like, if it's the gymnastics meet and when they're completed or, when it's done or when they get their trophy or their, medal, it's like, "Oh my gosh," like, it is, you're excited for them.
Yeah. And I love all the matchy or, like, wearing stuff, like, I love when they do that, like, the teams, everyone wears, like, their kids' names on the back, or you just wear matching colors or fun things. I think it's great for, like, family unity, and it makes it more exciting. Anyway, um, inspiring future interests, which might is the opposite of being over exposed to
Right.
sports, but if it's something that your younger like, the younger sibling could watch and be like, "Man, I would love to do that. That'd be so fun." Especially if they look up to that sibling. You know what I mean? Like
Well, and then the older sibling could even help them practice, and then they're, like,
yes.
getting better with that skill, and then now they have that bond and that similar interest, and then they're both, like, growing and learning. Yeah, I think that's a very good point. So I wonder what the balance is of, like, exposing the children enough to, like, celebrate their siblings' sports, to cheering them on, to family bonding, to we have been to too many events, pushed the sport too much, and now everybody's revolting and doesn't wanna do it.
Well, I think that leads into some tips or tricks because I think part of it is just making it fun for kids. That's part of it, or bring like having an excitement about it. I think when it's just miserable to be at, it's your kids are not going to want to do it. But if it's something that's fun, if they have a job like recycling, or maybe you're like, "Hey, this is like if it's baseball, why don't you go help and get all of the balls that go out of bounds or any ball sport really, or why don't you, fill water for that, or just something they might want to do that makes them feel special or, a part of it and keeps them busy. I think that's a good tip or trick. I think anything that you can also see in your kids, like if they're athletic or not. If they're not prone to athletics, like, maybe even just steer letting them just have fun doing something else and then steering them towards something that they might be good at. I don't know.
It also seems like the excitement of a play structure and the hope of a play structure can
Yes.
definitely make things more enjoyable. "Don't you
Yes.
remember this one's super cool?" Or to, like, in between games, they get to go to the play structure, and sometimes you might have to walk across a huge giant park or even go to a different park to go on that play structure, but there's something about that excitement of, like, "Okay, I have
Yeah.
to sit here and watch this for so long, but then I can go play," and usually there's other families there to be like, "Hey, we're all going to the play structure," or this or that, or "We're all gonna go to this part of the park," and that usually is a good, like, motivator for the kids to, like, sit here now, or while they're at practicing before the game, you go to the play structure, they all run around, get some energy out, and then they'll
Mm.
watch the game. Like, I feel like, especially when they're younger, because I think that's more of what we're talking about is when they're younger. Because
Yeah.
as you mentioned, when they're older, like, they just don't go. They just don't go to their
They're all,
younger
"We'll do what we
siblings'
want,"
events,
unless you make them.
and you force them to do that.
Well, and I think also, after the game, having, like, an after the game routine. I mean, it doesn't have to be the same thing, but maybe something fun like, okay, well, after the game, we always go get ice cream, or after the game, we go to whatever, like, restaurant and have a snack or whatever. Like, having something
Yeah.
fun afterwards.
And I know we've talked about this before, but we definitely need to talk about it now because it's so
Important.
I don't I'm trying not to say that word, but I was like,
So important.
life-changing. Hearing this advice was so life-changing, especially after the way that
Oh,
all of us grew up in our generation, but you don't talk about the game or the competition or the meet after the game. You don't when it's over, you don't talk about it until your child is ready to bring it up. And so as a parent, you might wanna be like, "The football game's over, let's now go through every single second of it and review it and rewind it and talk about it and dissect this great football game of, 4-year-olds." However, I'm saying 4 because like, it's Texas. They literally have soccer for 3-year-olds. I'm like, "Really?" It's just funny. Texas is a different place. But a lot of parents wanna do that, right? The kid has played the sport and the game is over and they wanna sit there and talk about it, but actually, you're not supposed to talk about it until the child is ready to, and that might not even be till the next day. Because like, they have just tried as hard as they can on the soccer field, and now you wanna go through every single area that they did wrong and everything your teammates did wrong and everything the coach did wrong, like, give
Or
them
the
a second
ref.
to breathe. Right, the ref. Yes, the
Usually
ref.
it's the ref. We're like, "That ref." Well, so do you give that same rule to the siblings so that they don't bring it up in the car, or do they just not know? I mean, do they
Nobody
just
can
know not
talk.
to?
Yeah, because then it's
Oh,
also about setting expectations, right? So even before there's a sporting event, you talk to the siblings like, "Hey, this is, we're going to this soccer game. This is how we behave. This is what we're gonna do." Or like we were at a football game that Riley was cheering at, and one of the football players went down. He got hit. And it was silent, and it was one of those things he got
yeah.
hit and, like, the coaches and the trainers are rushing to him, and, like, everyone goes on a knee, the cheerleaders went on their knee, like, everybody does, and then we just looked at the kids, we're like, "You guys, someone's injured, you have to be quiet." And even Cole, who's 4, knew, like, it was serious, like,
Mm.
everyone has to be silent, and it took a while. The guy did end up walk off the field, and I guess he had broken his collarbone is what ended up happening. We
Oh
found
my
out later. It
goodness.
was an injury, though. I mean, it was and I looked at even the twins, and I was like, "You guys don't say anything," because I said, "The parents of this boy, they're here somewhere. I don't know who they are, but they're here somewhere, and they're watching their son just, like, laying on the ground." But it's those expectations, and then afterward, like, I even talked to Riley, I was like, "Have your coach just talked to you about, like, when you guys get on a knee, you need to look straight?" I mean, you just talk about the expectations of the players, but also of the siblings, of the families, of everyone around. FYI, I don't think I could be a football mom.
No, I know. I
I
watch
don't
these
know how
games.
that mom did not go
Cannot run on the
running.
field.
Yes!
Yes.
To this day, I don't know who that mom was, and I was kind of, like, looking straight and trying to pay attention and being quiet and everything, but I'm like, when you're kinda, like, leaning back a little bit, like, "Where's the mom and the dad?" Because I was
100%.
stressed out, I was stressed out for them, and they stayed in their seat, and they did not cause a commotion. I would have been losing it, I would have been getting in trouble for being on the field. My
I
son is on the
know.
ground, not moving for a very long time. Talk
I'm
about
there.
self-control.
I'm, like, pushing everyone away. "What's going on? What's happening? Are you okay? What's happening?" I've already called 911. They're on their way.
And what's his name? Because 'Cause I'm just an observer. But for the parents to do
Yes.
that. So it's all
Yes.
the expectations that you talk with your kids before the game, sometimes they have to be reminded during the game, but then after, yeah, so even the siblings know, like, when that sport is over, that game, that practice, that meet, whatever is over, you don't bring it up until the child is ready, and that's so different than how we were all raised.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, we'll see what this generation says in 20 years
No,
about if
they're
that's
like,
good
"You
or
talk
bad.
about it the second it's over." Yeah, I know.
Think
But
about at
what
school, like, if you gave a really amazing presentation or you worked for, like, 2 weeks on a presentation at school or at work, and you gave everything you had to this presentation, you give the presentation, could you then imagine sitting in a group of with people and your family and, like, for a whole hour talking about everything you did that was wrong on your presentation?
that'd be rough. It would
And
be
but
rough.
parents do that to their children after
Yeah.
games. Not being a downer,
Stop.
just giving perspective.
I feel like there's a role reversal going on right now.
There has to be a change.
Let's process this.
It starts today. The change
No
starts
more
today.
talking siblings, nobody talks about it. But I think that brings us to another positive that when siblings get to go to these things, they get to see real life competition. They get to see, like, that it does, you have to work hard and you want to win, and kids are really working to win, where I think, which is good because we do live in a world of participation trophies, and that's okay. I when
Shout
I
out.
shout out, when I run my my 5Ks and half marathon, I am nowhere close to winning, but I get my medal, and I'm so proud of that medal. So I'm not against it, but at the same time, like, having that real competition is good. We need that in our lives, like, to bring that drive and that hard work and teamwork, and knowing that you have to work together to accomplish a goal like that. So I'm bringing it up because Angie brought it down.
I'm sorry, it was just like this moment where nobody was moving or talking at the football
It is
game.
so scary. Okay, to go back to that, like, I was at a game. I'm gonna bring it down too. I was at one of the football games we were at. So we had seen, like, one kid got carted off, he was fine. He went by ambulance, but he was fine.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I know. But one time, I think the scariest one we saw is a referee who was an older man got taken down. He was, like, in the end zone, and they, like, had to cart him off, and I was like, "Oh," he was, like, 70. I'm "Uh-oh." Like, that
Oh,
was
no.
so scary. And then, like,
Who
with player
ref
the
ended
ref.
up, getting carted off?
Yes.
Did
He
they have
was
a
in the end
standing
zone.
ref?
They must have.
Who filled in for him?
Everyone's like, "We're not going out there. These are big, like, this is varsity football. These are big boys," and he got taken down.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah, but and we all were quiet, and I'm like, "Nobody talk." Just kidding. We were all adults.
Were you looking for the ref's mom to
I
come
was like,
check on him?
is she back from the dead?" Unless she's like 150. I don't is her ghost here?
Oh, no.
I don't know if he was that old.
I mean, that's saying something, though, if the ref gets taken out.
Yes.
Did the other team
Yes.
get fouled?
You should. They're like, "You hurt the ref."
As he was on the stretcher, did he pull out the red card and just hang it up
He was
high?
just, like, trying to play it cool. I think he gave us a thumbs up, but we were all, like, slowly clapping because like, when it's a kid that
Oh,
gets injured, everyone's, like, clapping when they get up, and you're like, "Oh, good job." But when
yeah.
it's a ref, you're like, "I hope I hope we makes it." Like,
No.
I don't know, it's just very scary.
Did you
It's
ever see him
anyway.
at another game?
Well, to be fair, I don't know exactly what he looked like because I was in the stands and he had gray hair. He was older. There were a lot of older refs. Anyway.
But you have to be in shape, though. To be a ref, like at a basketball game, they are running
Oh,
up and down the
yes.
court. That is a lot. Or like Brooklyn's lacrosse games, because now she's playing on like the bigger field. Most of the time, it's college girls. And I'm like, oh, girls, you just got your workout. Like these chicks are running back and forth. It's shocking. And then they have to do the next game and the next game, because they'll like schedule it out for, oh, I'm going to ref 3 games or whatever. You have to be in shape.
Maybe that's something you could get the sibling to do, like your child. You could be like, "Hey, run back and forth and try to keep up with the ref." Like, to see if they can run. And then they're, like, exhausted, and then your job is done, and they sleep well.
I mean, it's a game. It's worth a shot. Might as well just try it. Sometimes you're like, let's come up with a new game.
Let's come up yeah, so one of them I've also heard of making game day bingo, where they, like, make a bingo card, like, "Mom yells at ref," or something, like, just fun things that could be funny at the game. So and so has a beer, I don't know. Boozy lady brings her cooler again.
I like that you're the boozy lady.
But I didn't have anything. It was all kids' snacks and drinks.
Were you
Um,
passing out some jello?
I
Only
was
for
like,
adults?
"I have these special Jello." No, but, I mean, you could make it more like, "My sibling scored a goal," or "My sibling did a good job," or "The ref blew his whistle." I don't know, but you could make a bingo card and then have a prize.
I
I've done
kinda like
that before. I haven't done it at games, but I've done it with my family, like, if we go somewhere, we're like, "Let's do something fun to make it more exciting."
maybe
Um,
Pinterest has those already made though, because the idea of like then having to make a bingo game on top of everything else
Well,
that I'm,
you
like,
just
packing and loading the car and, like, making sure everyone has the equipment. Because as a mom, like, always and I know we've talked about this before, but, like, always being stressed out that you have all the
Yeah.
equipment you need, the shoes, the shin guards. I mean, gymnastics is, like, a whole deal, but it's those kind of things, and then to be like, "Hold on, I need to go print out my bingo cards."
One more thing to do. Bring your snacks, bring your I mean, you just bring out bingo and then they fill in the squares. But or you could just tell them, make a list of 5 things, and if they all happen, boom. But I don't know. Anyway, it's fun. We've done it. There's also a game day bag, which I think kinda goes with what, Peyton already does. Like, have a bag that is already packed full of stuff that you know the kids are gonna like, and it only comes out of game day. So it's like a special or practice or whatever.
Game day bag. I like
Game
that. I like that a
Yeah.
lot. I actually have a sweatshirt that says game day. Not gonna lie, it's new.
That's amazing.
And I have a shirt that says sports mom, so it covers all the sports.
All the sports ball
And
mom.
it's like homecoming week this week, so every day at the high school is a theme day, and one day was, um, dress like a soccer mom, and Riley wore my sports mom shirt, and sh
Amazing.
actually, I mean, definitely the super cute version of me, like, she had on the lipstick, the white tennis shoes, and her sports mom shirt. She had a ponytail. It was super cute. I was like, "Yeah, that's the look. That's the look." Yes,
Amazing.
it's
Amazing.
it's a whole thing, but it's fun. She would not wear the hat or a visor. I was like, "Get a visor." Another girl brought a whistle.
At least she didn't bring a little cooler. You don't wanna be that mom.
Next year, that's what they're gonna do. I thought that's a fun, like, theme day, though, for high school. I
Yeah.
really got into it.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's always hard when they're, like, really, like, intricate. Because I remember Shiloh having to do those theme days because she was in ASB, and we won't get into this now, but some of them were, like, so random that I'm like, we're not gonna go spend $50, but she'd have to do it because she was in ASB. Anyway, we're out of time. All that to say
Already out of time. Oh, one last thing from the safety police. Also, bring, like, a little first aid kit because you never know. If it's not your
Oh,
child, it's the siblings
or it's yourself.
or it's yourself. Yes.
That's a good
Yes.
point.
I
Yes.
mean, it's funny because it depends, like, what age kids are, like, when you're going to the football games. Because again, we go to watch Riley cheer, not to actually watch the game that's actually going on, and it's funny because like, when the kids were younger, they loved just going up and down the stands, which I was okay with if they were to the side, not bothering anyone, but then I started to notice people were getting nervous. Like, they were afraid my
Oh.
kids were gonna fall, and I didn't know how to tell them, like, "No, no, they're good." So, I actually had them stop because I was like, "You are stressing out some of the moms." And then, like, other kids, like, they would see the siblings there, so they would go sit at, like, a separate section. You know, so it'd be like a group of the sisters all sitting at a separate section in the stand, so they thought there was, like, a big kid cool thing, yet they're still kind of hanging out and watching the game or watching the cheerleaders, and that made it just something a little bit more exciting is to, like,
Friends make
get that
things better.
independence. It's
Yeah.
true. It's a life lesson right there. Friends make things better.
Friends and a little independence. We
And
need it.
apparently a nice chest full of beer.
Apparently, that you can recycle when you're done. You're welcome.
I mean, we were kind of ahead of our time if you
You
think
really
about it.
were. You really were. Good recyclers. Well, if you have a good tip or trick for how you keep your children busy or having a great time during your other child's sports practices or whatever, reach out to us. Instagram, message us, Mother Funny, or you could find us on YouTube at Mother Funny
Podcast with
Podcast with
Andie and
Andie and
Angie,
Angie.
especially for you baseball moms, because there's, like, so many it would be, like, 3
Oh,
baseball games, and then the next day, like, these baseball moms are legit moms because
and
it's
it
like
could
the
be so
tournament.
hot, so hot. 'cause
Or
it's
so
summer.
cold if it's Texas. I mean, you just don't know
Really?
what to expect. 'Cause, well, baseball's, like, year-round, but sometimes, like, in October, we'll get a freeze. Sometimes super random in the spring, it's cold. It's just weird in Texas, but just in general, like, those summer games like you're talking about, that's all weekend.
That's when you're
It's a
like, "If you
lot.
lose, we get to go home." Unless they have it, like and you start paying the refs. You're like, "Hey, I really wanna go home." Okay, but we're out of time.
Yes. So, like us, share us, tell a friend, bring a fan. Those little, like, portable fans are amazing.
Yes, I have one that you wear around your neck. It's a lifesaver.
Nice. There's some that, like, hook up to car seats too when you have little ones. Definitely use those. We
Oh,
use
and the
those for cold.
stadium seats. Do you have the stadium seats?
Yes, we do. Well,
Those are
Ryan and I
amazing.
have them, the kids don't not because 'cause they're always playing with all this stuff, but all of a sudden, because I get up and, like, take pictures a lot, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, you're sitting in my seat."
You're out.
Remember?
That's mommy seat. Mommy's throne. All right, till next time. All right, that's all we have time for today. We gotta wrap it up, unfortunately. But just remember, you might think you're doing just okay, but we think you're doing really great.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. We hope you have a great Mother Funny day. Please like and share our podcast.
But please don't tell our moms.